6:00. I will call this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees to order. Will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all very much. So we will have a public hearing first, and that is on local law of 2025, amending chapters 110-40, Schedule I, truck weight limits of the Village Code of Southampton by adding commercial truck weight restrictions within the village. This is specifically for Prospect Street between North Main Street and North Sea Road. Would anyone like to come forward from the public to speak on this proposed local law?
I'm just going to outline in the beginning that we're going to have a 3-minute limit on speaking. It's going to be a hard limit. What I'll do at 2:45, I'll remind you that your time is just about up.
Well, I'm going to ask for people here first, and then we'll go to online.
Oh, didn't know we had any signatures.
Come take your job.
Okay, William McClanahan?
No, we're doing a public hearing on this local law. So if you want to speak on this local law, this is what you're speaking about now.
That's what I assume there.
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I should fire myself. I want to speak about it, but hold on.
Okay. You can come forward. And then Sage, let me know if there's anyone obviously on Zoom that wants to speak as well.
That's fine.
We did receive one letter of correspondence from a resident of Prospect Street, asking for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Mindy Fortin, 190 Little Plains Road. I don't know the extent of this, but you're cutting off 10,000-pound trucks from going down certain roads?
Only Prospect.
Only Prospect?
Yes.
Well, it's already in effect for a number of other roads.
But is that going to draw them down further, the trucks, to like Little Plains? I'm being selfish.
Well, okay, so Prospect goes east-west. I think most of the traffic that's using that road is traveling at the end of the day from east to west, and they're going through Railroad Plaza, otherwise known as Powell Avenue. Mm-hmm. They're connecting to Prospect, and then they're shooting across West Prospect, and they're then meandering their way through the western part of the village. I don't think, Mindy, the traffic is going to be driven down to Little Plains Road from Prospect, because Prospect is, as you know, is very close to the train station.
Right.
It's at the top of Elm Street, as opposed to where Little Plains begins, sort of near the bottom of Elm Street.
But I thought I read something like they might be closing off like Potato Field and.
I don't know where you got that information.
No,
That's
Potato Field is one of the ones that you can't go on.
Already
currently. It's
restricted.
but that's current. That's already
That's current,
that's
yes.
already in effect.
The only one we're adding is Prospect Street.
Okay, so I need to get a list of the ones that are already in.
Well, they're in the code.
Right,
Yeah.
so I have
You
to.
can have it right here.
Oh, what a nice building. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm gonna read.
The ones in black are existing, the red
Okay,
is the.
I
new one.
misunderstood.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought they were closing these.
Right. No. Those are already done
closed. Okay.
for traffic over 10,000 pounds.
All right. I get
So
it now.
it's not for, just regular vehicles. It's only addressing those that are of heavy weight.
So my selfishness is okay. I've been saved. Thank you.
Yeah. Sage, was there anyone on Zoom that wanted to talk on this? Any board members want to talk about it? I mean, I can give a brief synopsis of why we're looking at doing this. Residents on that street have come to me, including the woman who wrote a letter to us, saying that in the evening her house literally shakes from the trucks that go by. She sent photographs of almost 18-wheelers going down that street. That street also, not too many years ago, had a new gas main put under it at very shallow depth and at a very large circumference of piping. So the concern also was that how are these heavy trucks affecting this gas pipeline that runs directly under Prospect Street? So I know you know something about it, Rob, so I don't know if you wanted to add anything at this point.
No, that was the only thing I would add, is that it's actually called a storage pipe. So it's, in addition to carrying gas, it's meant to be overpressurized to actually store excess gas. So it's a fairly large gas pipe, and the concern was just the truck weight and settling.
It's somewhere between 6 and 8 inches, and it's not that deep, and there are actually signs posted on the utility poles alerting everybody to the fact that this gas main is running under the street. So that, combined with the woman who was concerned about the shaking of her house in the evening when these trucks were rumbling by, heading west, was the reason why we said this street seems to be another street, because it is strictly a residential street, that should be included in the restrictions of overweight vehicles traversing our village residential streets.
I think it's a great idea. I heard about it before, that there was an issue that a lot of trucks, for some reason, were diverting on Prospect. My only question is, how are we going to enforce that to make sure that trucks don't do it?
That's our chief of police is here to do the enforcement with her officers.
We will handle it.
Anyway, would anyone else like to address this topic? Sage, anyone else? Final call? Oh, okay, then I will, so you want to talk?
Yes, thank you. This is the traffic discussion.
It's only strictly on
Trucks.
the truck overweight on Prospect Street.
For right now.
For right now, and I apologize for
That's okay.
coming late and not hearing everything. And I may be completely off base, but I looked at our E-code and it listed about 10 streets that were limited or that restricted any truck that weighed over 10,000 pounds.
That's right.
That's right.
Thank you. And then I see another 10 streets added, but my girlfriend just told me that they were already in place, but I didn't see that in E-code.
No, what you see, those ones in black
Mhm.
on there, those are in the code right now,
They're in the code right now, except for the one in red.
except for the one in red.
That's
Okay,
correct.
so
We're
when you
only
counted
adding
10,
one
that's that.
street.
Got it,
So we
okay.
printed the whole section and just showed the addition of.
So what's odd is I show something of 10 streets, and now it shows up as,
Are they different streets?
yes.
I don't know what you're looking at, but I'm happy.
Eco-
with
I'm
it.
looking at E-laws US, and maybe that's outdated, but when you do a search for the village, that's what comes up. Whereas this is a much broader street. So first of all, we all know we have a traffic problem, and I appreciate everybody working on
So
it.
this isn't E-code, this is E-law.
E-law,
Yeah.
so it's not E-code.
No, if you want me to double check, I will.
No,
but
I
it-
trust
It
you.
probably got changed
No,
over the
I
years. Those are from
trust
like
you.
2000.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So my only question is, where did the analysis come from to decide that these should be the streets that restrict truck traffic at 10,000 pounds
I
and
believe
above?
we did that with our traffic consultant over a year ago, Kimberly.
Okay, and I didn't see that, because I looked at those streets, and I live on one of them, and we don't really have a lot of large trucks that go by. We have a different problem on our street.
I
but
think
we
you have a
don't
problem
that.
with cars coming from the car dealerships.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and parking.
I'm well aware of that one,
I
too.
know you are. Thank you. So I was just wondering, because there's a number of streets on here, such as, I just don't understand where it came from. And if
Well,
if
again,
there
this-
was a traffic study
There was a traffic
conducted-
study done probably at least 12 months ago, and our consultant came in with a list of the streets that they thought we should regulate as per weight.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's the piece that I'm missing. I haven't seen that. And
Yeah.
is that on the village website?
I don't know if we put every traffic study up on the village website. This was, as I said, discussed a year ago.
Well, it's in the code, right? So if you go to the village code, you can see it. It's section 110-40.
Right, but
Truck
what's
weight.
in the village code are the streets that restrict trucks that are over 10,000 pounds.
Correct.
Correct.
Right. But my question is, why were
Oh.
those streets
Oh.
Again,
chosen?
all I can
What's
answer
the
to you, Kimberly,
analysis
is that
behind it?
there was analysis done by VHB as to
Okay.
which streets we should try and restrict. The restrictions that we used to have in place did not have proper signage. You actually have to have the 10,000, I forget exactly, GW, what is it?
GWV,
Yeah, you need to have that so that the police can enforce it.
VW.
The streets in the village prior to a year ago, when we had this analysis done, did not have the proper verbiage. Therefore, it was unenforceable. We said we want to be able to enforce these laws. We want the police chief and her officers to be able to enforce them. So we said to him, what is the proper verbiage that the state requires now, and which streets do you believe are the ones that we should limit weights to? For example, we limited it on Job's Lane. Everyone thought that was reasonable not to have trucks going down Job's Lane. So again, he gave us the analysis, and we put it into law a year ago.
Okay.
And
I
tonight,
just-
we're only addressing one new street.
You know
Right.
what, though, I'm looking at it, and I think we should keep the public hearing open and adjourn it. I want to double check that, that these streets are correct on the code, so
Fine.
let me look at it
But,
and see.
but that's not pertaining to Prospect, though.
No, I know they don't pertain to Prospect, but I want to make sure it's correct before we do it, before we add Prospect.
Okay?
So,
I think we're going to have some very upset people on Prospect, Steve, but
This is going to be one
One
meeting.
meeting.
Let's just adjourn
I get
make
it,
sure
I
it's
get it, I
correct.
get
If
it.
it's not,
I get it.
adjourn it to the next month, we'll look at it and make sure it's correct.
Kimberly, I believe there's a presentation certainly, and I think it was more like 16 to 18 months ago, Bill, is my recollection. And I think there was even a 2 or 3 page summary of a report that was in the packet for that meeting that describes sort of the criteria for the roads that were chosen, both the signage and other criteria. So I'll help find that if you
Thank you.
want.
And I appreciate the fact that you have streets and the signage isn't conforming. That I appreciate, and good
Yeah.
that you're getting it done because the code is not so easy. I
Yeah.
get that. My only question is, I've lived on streets where there are a ton of trucks and they're not on this. So I was wondering,
Right.
in your analysis,
Yeah.
maybe they'll explain everything as to why some of these other streets aren't on there, and if we ever analyze traffic displacement, because as you know, good old trustee Yastrzemski used to say, if you lock off one street, it just shifts it into
Oh,
another.
yes, we know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was all I had to say, and welcome trustee Coburn.
Thank you, Kimberly.
I just gave mine away. No, it's okay. I just want to take a look at it.
All right, so then we will hold this meeting
Hang on, Bill,
open.
let me, just
Oh,
give me one
okay,
second.
okay.
I just want to make sure that I'm correct before. I think we are still correct. I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, we're correct. You can close it.
Okay, good. All right, well, then we will close this public hearing for this local law of 2025. I will make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now I'm going to turn to Scott, the village administrator, to tell us about the correspondence of the board.
Yes, we have correspondence from Henry Iddleston, who writes to express opposition to the pilot program to close Ox Pasture Road for periods during the day. And we have correspondence from Ellen Irvin, who raises concerns regarding the safety of National Grid's pipeline installation on Prospect, which I believe you addressed, and advocates for closure to commercial traffic.
Right, was there any other?
That's all the correspondence I have.
Could I just note, I think there were some emails circulated with the opposite view on Ox Pasture that were circulated to the board today. They may not have made it into
They
the
might not have
packet.
made it into the.
But just sort of the opposite view from Mr. Edelson's letter.
I think those
It was
letters will,
requesting that we continue the program, in fact, right?
Correct, yeah.
I think those letters will be on the record for the July 22nd meeting, because
Yeah.
they were too late for tonight's meeting.
Okay.
But now I will open this to public comment on any topic that anyone wishes to speak on. So who do we have listed to speak? Scott
First, we have William
McClanahan.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for this. I'd like to comment on the pilot program. I'm William McClanahan. I'm a lifelong resident of Southampton. I'm a 15-year resident of Lee Avenue. I'd like to thank the mayor, Chief Hurtow, and all the trustees for their ongoing effort and publicly stated desire to address the terrible traffic conditions on Lee Avenue and the surrounding areas south of Hill. The pilot on of closing Ox Pasture was an important and bold action reflecting a willingness to resolve this situation. While I understand the pilot is not being deemed a success, I believe the closing of Ox Pasture conferred major benefits to the targeted area. Volume on Great Plains has increased materially, I understand that, but I would submit that the volume is a significant discount to the pre-pilot volume that flowed regularly through Ox onto Lee and onto Captains. I believe this improvement, meaning the continuing decline of traffic through this area were Ox to stay closed, would continue. I therefore propose that we continue with the closure of Ox Pasture and add additional elements to address the collateral problems that have emerged, meaning the traffic flowing through to Great Plains. We must continue to choke the unacceptable flow of commuter traffic south of Hill Street. I propose we keep Ox Pasture closed while reinstating the no left turns on Lee Avenue and Captain's Neck. I propose we add a stop sign on Great Plains and Cooper's to slow the traffic on Great Plains. If that doesn't work, I propose we consider additional impediments to traffic flowing south of Hill through this area. We must engage our consultant to mathematically study these results and work aggressively with the apps on day one for any changes. It's my understanding, and I think everybody knows this, that the apps were not notified of the closure of Ox at the beginning of the pilot. It's not an easy thing to do. My wife actually is a great technologist. She did it. So the apps only as of yesterday, we got an email yesterday from WhatsApp saying we officially recognize that Ox is closed. I get that the apps are difficult to deal with. I think if our consultant isn't studying these numbers carefully, doesn't have the ability to manage the aggressive of the apps, I think we should probably consider another consultant. I know we're going to talk about the increased volume on Great Plains. What I would like to look at is what was the pre-pilot volume on Ox. So I get we've got an unacceptable number of cars coming through on Great Plains. I believe, having spent a lot of time in the area during the pilot, a number of people in the room spent a lot of time in the area during the pilot. We all live on Lee and Captains. The volumes are way down. So what I'm saying is it's a problem for Great Plains. I understand that's not really acceptable. I think the volumes are way down from what they were coming through Ox, because when Ox was open, the entire area was a parking lot. Western Ox was a parking lot, Lee was a parking lot, Captains was a parking lot, and Ox was often stacked car to car, and sometimes a parking lot. That's not the condition on Great Plains. I get the volumes up. That's not the condition in the
245.
neighborhood now. Say it again.
245.
245. We cannot give up and revert to the prior conditions. The situation on Lee Avenue, the narrowest street in the village, is a complete and unacceptable disaster. The congestion is a threat to its residents' physical and economic
Time is
well-being,
up, I'm sorry.
and it's a safety calamity waiting to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, William.
Could I just ask the question, because one of the suggestions that the residents in that area made was related to the apps, that we would declare those areas residential, and then that would prevent those apps from sending people through those areas. Have we looked into that? And I understand you were looking at that, Eileen?
Right, you have no right to close a public road to just
But
certain
what was the
people.
point that was made that we declared a residential area?
Yeah,
which-
there are people who are saying that you can put up signs that say no through traffic, a residential area only, including the traffic consultant, I think, told the mayor, but I looked into it again, and when I questioned him about it, he acknowledged that he was looking at a national sign and that the New York supplement was not out. And I'm not aware of any change in the law that would allow New York to do that. So we can't we can't leave roads only to certain people, including residents.
And you can't influence the apps. It doesn't have to be
Well, I don't know about
legal.
influencing the apps. I mean,
Mhm.
that's not, I mean, that was not my role. I don't know who would do that, but we can't pass rules or laws that say, I mean, so you could pass one, but the chief couldn't enforce it, and if she did enforce it, we'd be subject to a class action lawsuit, for doing that, so.
Could I ask whether, is there anyone else from the public who wants to talk on this topic?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was going to ask the chief, though, but.
No, the chief, I was going to save the chief till after the public speaks.
I'll be less than 3 minutes, don't worry. My name is Ron Risto. I live on Hetty Creek and lived there for 20 years. So the program has really made a dramatic impact on the traffic on Lee Avenue and Ox Pasture. There's no question about it. I would guess maybe 50%. I walk my dogs all the time, and I'm walking up and down Lee Avenue. And the traffic, while it's still more than I thought it would be, is got to be at least 50%. So I was wondering if you had any hard statistics.
The chief is going to have
you know,
those. She's going to
because
go over those in a
It is
little bit.
way better. As a resident there, it is way better than what it was. So I think you really have to be careful with just getting rid of it, or maybe there's something you can do to improve it, and certainly don't want to transfer a problem to another area of the city, because that was the sense of us all just transferring this traffic around. But I thought it was a pretty good start, and it did have a positive impact, so I just wanted to let you
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else wanting to come up and speak on this?
Hello, I'm Jeff Molesky at 121 Lee Avenue. My partner, Steve Markov, and I, first of all and foremost, want to say thank you for instituting the ox pasture closure pilot. We know the effort that has gone into this, and we know this is a huge holistic effort that everybody's trying to solve for. And we also know that this is part of the solution. I think that's the key thing. It's often not just, with any pilot, pilots are iterative in nature. You test and you learn. You test and you learn and you evolve. And I think it's fantastic that you guys were bold and you went out there and you said, let's close it and learn from it. So we're encouraging you not to stop, but to continue to add to the mix. We know the ultimate goal of drivers that are cruising through south of Hill Street are trying to get to Lee Avenue to avoid the Hill Street traffic. And our recommendation is to keep ox pasture closed, but also to consider, just like we talked about in the June 12th meeting, reinstating the no left turn off of Lee and Captain's Neck. We know Mayor Manger, Trustee Simeone, Trustee Stevenson, you were in support of that verbally, and we encourage you to continue to explore that. We had a concern that there was, I think a year ago, Chief, about the U-turns. People were taking a right onto Hill Street off of Lee and doing a U-turn near the gas station. One idea maybe would be for initially say no left or right turn off of Lee. You could keep the no left turn off of Captain's because it's east of the gas station. But again, really trying to change behavior so people can start to learn the traffic flow. We're just brainstorming here as we think about possible objections and challenges that you all are trying to do. To just reinforce the no-through traffic that you brought up, Trustee Stevenson, you're right. Lauren Santo Domingo, through the chief engineer at Google, identified that the no-through traffic signage is what will allow the apps to reflect that. It's not enforceable. You're absolutely right. But it's the signage, Waze, Google, as well as Apple, will all reflect that in the algorithms. So communities are doing this. And so, obviously it's a discussion that has to happen, but that's another way that we could really, as you think about Great Plains, Ox, Halsey, by having those signage on those streets could also really help alleviate this because the drivers wouldn't be driven through the algorithms to go that way. So we want you to know too, we understand the resource constraints. If it's helpful, we are raising our hand. We're happy to help with the apps. Lauren has contacts there. Laura, Williams' wife, she's been, working hard at it.
You're right,
And
2:45.
thank you so much. We know Laura's been hard at work in terms of really trying to solve and leverage the technology as well. So in the spirit of brainstorming, we just wanted to bring these ideas forward and first and foremost say thank you. We really appreciate it, and we encourage you guys to keep going and leverage where we are today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all your comments.
You have Sharon Denner?
Hi, thank you also for being here and working with us on this. We're all really, really grateful. I bumped into you in town last week and
Yep.
we had a brief chat. So I agree with everything that everyone has said. I just want to bring a little personal perspective. I've been on Lee Avenue, 100 Lee, for almost 4 years, our fourth summer. And I don't agree that it's really 50% better. To me, I have a video just from yesterday where I'm in the probably lower third of the street. And so I have a steady flow of cars in front of my driveway. I cannot get into my driveway or out of my driveway fairly often. And on a personal note, I have grandkids that come from the city who want to go outside with their scooter at 2 o'clock. It's impossible. It's really dangerous. Not to mention that cars are still going, our street is very narrow.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
still going up on the grass. I just reseeded my property in the spring. It's messed up. So it's just, I feel terrible for the people in Great Plains that are really up in arms about it. That's true. Nobody likes this, but they've been dealing with it for a couple of weeks. We've been dealing with it for years. So I would be in favor also of the no left turn. And as far as the U-turns, the mayor and I just briefly chatted about last week, the gas station U-turn, yes, that's probably a problem, but he's closed at 1 o'clock. So couldn't we put a barricade up so people cannot go in there and use the driveway? That would, to me, that would be one solution. But I agree with what Jeff said and the others. A no left turn on Lee and Captain's is really a fantastic solution. We had it a couple years ago, and it eliminated the traffic. It's better now, but it's certainly not eliminated, and it's really affecting all of our quality of life. It's just not fun. So anyway,
No.
thank you for working with us.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you very much, and enjoyed running into you last weekend.
same.
Yeah.
I'll save the next book for you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Mindy Fortin.
Not on this.
Not yet.
No, you can talk on anything you want to talk about.
I can.
Yes. This,
I just want to say that I feel ashamed of myself for worrying about all this traffic. I know it's a problem for many of you, but I feel like we haven't talked about real things like village homelessness and things like that. It's always trees and traffic, and I know they're important, but can we get started on village homelessness and things like that?
sure. I mean, if you'd like to, start a committee and we can meet with you and discuss, solutions and ideas, and certainly.
Okay.
I mean, we are trying to work on more workforce housing in the village.
Yeah, that I'm worried about that too. But I'm really worried about the more homeless people that I see and things like that. So I'll get
Right,
to
Tree,
it.
well,
I know where you live. No, I don't know where you work. I don't know where you live.
No, you're welcome to come anytime and set up a meeting. I have office hours on Tuesday, but any day that you want to come in, if you just call Karen, my assistant, she'll set up time and we can sit down and discuss it.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
thanks, Mindy. Anyone else?
Kim, Alan? You spoke on the issue? Okay. And that's everybody I have.
Do you have anyone on Zoom, Sage? Okay, well, then I was going to call the chief up to maybe just review what you've observed and we have on the monitoring system that was out there during this period, and what your officers have observed as well.
Okay, so prior to the pilot starting, I had the speed camera moved to Great Plains so we can collect data to see how many cars were on Great Plains prior to closing Ox and First Net. And on Lee Avenue, the speed camera that was there, we flipped it so we'd be able to see if there was a difference made by closing it to clock northbound traffic. So prior to the pilot, we only got 3 days of data by the time DPW was able to get it hooked up and working. So on Great Plains, and this is between 3 o'clock and 7, that's the hours I chose. Wednesday on Great Plains, there was 113 cars. Thursday, 215. Friday, 158. On Lee Avenue, prior to the pilot, Wednesday was 552. Thursday was 446. And Friday was 359. So once the pilot started, and we did 4 days that week because of the holiday, on Lee Avenue, on the first day of the pilot, it was 227 cars. Second day of the pilot, 179. Third day, 159. And on July 3rd, it was 249. This week, I got the data for the last 3 days. We still have tonight and tomorrow.
Yep.
251, 191, 161 cars during that time frame. On Great Plains, first week, 1,013 cars. Second day, 1,028. Third day, 950. Fourth day, 945. This past Monday, 1,082. Tuesday, 1,097. And yesterday, 882. So what we're seeing is that's a lot of cars coming through Great Plains, but they're not, all those cars aren't being dispersed on Lee Avenue. So what our officers are seeing is that they're, The motorists are taking Great Plains, and they're taking it all the way down to Ox Pasture. I'm sorry, Captain's
can't,
Neck Lane.
yeah.
Captain's Neck Lane, and they're making the right, and some are going straight down Captain's, and the rest are going down Ox to Lee. So that's how it's being dispersed. And there's some cars in there that I'm sure don't go all the way down to Ox and hit Halsey Neck Lane, or get to Halsey Neck Lane.
Yeah.
So it definitely is dispersing better, but Great Plains is taking the brunt.
Just like, yeah, could you go back, what were the numbers of Great Plains prior to the
Prior to the pilot, between the
113.
hours of 3 and 7, 113, 215, 158.
Tenfold
It went up to over 1,000.
it went up to over 1,000?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And, traffic on Hill Street was not moving at all
Yeah.
during this entire pilot.
Yeah, I think actually Rob knows that.
We had a sergeant was sitting behind a landscaping truck in front of the movie theater, and he went down First Neck to Great Plains, out to Lee, came back around eastbound on Hill Street, and that truck was only at Sacred Heart's Church. So, it's definitely, and that's a lot of the traffic coming off the feeder roads. Moses Lane was backed up. Moses, Pelham, and Armand Street were a complete disaster, and that was a separate issue. Had nothing to do with the pilot. Has everything to do with County Road 39 and people avoiding that road. People were coming through that back way and going up towards Moses Lane, towards the McGee Street light, but it was so backed up into that intersection, people were then turning around and going down Moses to Hill Street and making the right. So it was, the last week and a half have been a little bit dicey for Hill Street.
Yeah.
Is that caused by the
Ma-
by the?
No, I think the Armand, Pelham, West Prospect Street is coming from Railroad Plaza, North Main Street, Prospect Street, all coming down to snake around to do the right thing and try to get up to 39 to that McGee Street light, which is why it's so important that that light gets rectified and that intersection gets a complete overhaul, because it would help us, greatly help us.
All right. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I mean, if the board has any questions for me, I'd be happy to take them.
Len?
It seems, I guess my question is for your friend who gave you a book. Was during the pilot, the 2-week pilot in the spring, when County Road 39 was made more efficient, how was the traffic then on Lee? Was it acceptable?
I don't think it was really affected because it was still kind of early.
It was too early.
Right,
I
it was
think.
too early.
Yeah, I think that was a problem.
Yeah.
We can have plenty of traffic in May.
Yeah.
There's plenty of traffic in May.
They did this in April, didn't they?
No,
Yeah,
it
last
was-
week in April,
Last week
first-
in April, first week in
Okay,
May.
yeah.
But it was better, you think? I mean, I thought north of Hill Street was definitely better.
It was definitely better. It definitely kept, because like I said in the last meeting I was at, it was 7 minutes from Burger King to
Right.
the old Lobster Inn. So everybody, once they learned that,
Right,
they stayed on the road.
right,
And our feeder roads were pretty much clear.
yeah.
And Hill Street was moving.
And south of Hill Street was?
South of Hill Street was fine.
Was better.
Yeah.
Should we consider closing Great Plains as well?
No, I would not close any roads. I wouldn't. I mean, because then what's going to happen is you're going to close Great Plains, and that's going to force traffic down past the Meadow Club, down that curve in the roadway, around by the beaches. You have people running, jogging. You have all that beach traffic. We were at maximum capacity at the beach this weekend.
You don't think they'll just turn around?
No.
It's closed.
No. So I think they really do take an extra 2 or 3 minutes, because I have some officers that live in Hampton Bays, and when they put it in their app on how to go home, it takes them the back way. It's 22 minutes. If they stay on Hill Street, it's going to take them an hour and 20 minutes to go home.
Chief, you mentioned Moses and McGee issues. Was there something specific that changed or happened to cause
I think there was just
Just
such
volume?
an influx of people out here.
for the week, for the holiday?
Yes,
and
for the
others?
holiday, and traffic was insane. It was.
So it could have been a bad week. We could get some spoiled data just because there was excess volume. Since I live on Hill Street and have spent a lot of time on traffic over almost a decade, I would say the last week and a half since the pilot program began has been the worst regular week traffic by far. It was the equivalent almost every day of a bad accident out on the highway. in front of my house, going all the way back to the village.
The first day of the pilot, we did have, the town had a bad accident by the old diner
Yeah.
that closed the road for 45 minutes in the height.
Monday.
I think it was a head-on collision.
Yeah, it was a
But-
head-on.
But on a typical day, traffic is really stop bumper to bumper about at Halsey Neck, maybe a little east, maybe a little west. And there's slow traffic in front of my house between Halsey Street and Moses for about an hour and a half or two. During this program, there's been stop traffic in front of my house from about 3:45 in the afternoon to about 7:30 at night, maybe later, every day. And the stop traffic has been all the way back into the village.
Yes, it wraps around to the police station.
And on 2 different days, I saw stop traffic on both Moses and Halsey Street back to Armand, the stop
Correct.
signs at Armand.
Yes,
Get beyond Armand.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I know that it's easy for people to say, well, Hill Street is a main street, it's an evacuation route, and it's used to traffic. But when I moved in 25 years ago, the daily traffic was 1,500 cars a day. It's now about 16,000, so it's gone up by a factor of 10 times. And we just have stop traffic in front. I appreciate the safety issues elsewhere in the village, but I've seen a number of days where if a neighbor had, God forbid, but had a heart attack or medical issue, or a fire started, we'd have every day serious life safety issues for probably 80 to 150 houses in sort of the western central Hill Street area. So to me, I appreciate, I'm glad it was better for Lee, but it sounds like it was much worse for Ox Pasture, and even with this McGee Street issue, whatever it
Great
was.
Plains.
Great Plains, sorry. Even with this McGee Street issue, the effect on Hill Street and around was definitely noticeable and very negative.
I plan on giving all the notes. We were able to get some drone footage when I had an operator to fly, so we want to get everything to Ryan, our notes, our data, and we could see if he can pull. I have to see. There was an issue with the Ox Pasture camera that Bob Hand said it wasn't capturing the data. So pre-pilot, I think Will had mentioned getting it. So I'll see if Bob can get pre-pilot for Ox Pasture for volume, so we have that data to give him.
So Chief, here's a question for you. If you do make no left turns on Lee and Captains, how are you going to have the manpower to have people? You're going to need 10 police officers there all the time
Well,
writing tickets.
the enforcement on the north side really is making the difference. It really is. I did mention that I did receive several emails from residents wanting to bring back the left turn to Ryan, and I couldn't remember what his feeling was on the pilot program, so I put that out there to him, and he had mentioned that he would have to look at it again, but putting some type of divider at the end of each road to almost, so, we would still enforce it, obviously, but it would make it easier on us if there was a divider, and that would actually force people to make the right.
A right turn instead of a left turn.
Correct. And then you could still have people come in, off of Hill Street and
course.
access Lee Avenue.
Got to be more than
Like a
cones, though, because
triangle.
they just drove over the cones.
No, this would be some type of.
It would be like an elevated.
Physical, yeah.
I forget what.
Triangle.
Yeah, a triangle, almost, elevated with signage, kind of like what they have up at 7-Eleven, but not as big, obviously. That's what he was thinking about, so.
Yeah.
It is being circulated.
All right, we got some people with hands up, so why don't we have you, and then we'll go to Pippa, and then William after that. Yeah. No, can you come up to the mic? I'm sorry, because it has to be recorded. The people watching at home, they want to be able to hear you.
Right. Frank Horowitz, 100 Lee. My question is, coming here tonight, the parked landscaping, it's impossible to move over here and get someone to let you in. Is
Right.
there regulations that, one, they have to go into that person's driveway or go on the
Right.
town-owned?
Right, so actually, one of the laws that we're going to look at later in tonight's agenda is to have all of the construction or landscaping vehicles parked on one side of the street and not on both sides, because the problem is when you have on both sides, as you know, it becomes a
So-
slalom course to get down that street, and
One
it's
side, too.
extremely dangerous because you can't see around those trucks. And certainly anyone on a bicycle is taking their life into their hands. So we've looked at several streets in the village that really are problematic. and we're looking at eliminating parking on one side of the street, so everyone has to be on the other side. But I spoke to the building inspector this week about compelling contractors, if the property is large enough, to have their cars, trucks on site and not parked out on the street. Certainly, in some neighborhoods in the village, that's not possible because the lots are very small. But certainly, if someone has 2 or 3 acres, they can certainly get more of the cars on that site than to have them all out on the street. So I'm working with the building inspector as well as trying to eliminate parking on one side of the street. And actually, the chief could talk to you briefly about the construction we've had on Halsey Street, which has completed a complete nightmare of that street because I think there are 4 projects going on at once, all in close proximity, and there are trucks parked everywhere. I mean, it's unbelievable to try and get down that street. So the chief actually put in emergency temporary no parking on one side of the street, which did help, but we're looking to make that a permanent change in the no parking rules of the village, so that again, one side will be for, always be able to travel, and the other side is where people would be able to park their vehicles.
Great, thank you. And the last question is the no left-hand turn dead for right now? Or are you guys talking about it tonight? How do you feel about it? I just would like to throw
No, we're talking about it. We're looking at figuring out how we might be able to reinstitute it. But again, the traffic engineer said we really probably have to put some type of a divider so that we can compel people not to run over the cones as they did to make that left turn. So we need to come up with something that's structural, I believe, to prevent that. And that's what we were going to talk to the chief and our traffic engineer about, trying to come up with some solution there, so it makes it, very difficult for someone to try and break the law there if we enforce, the no left turns. Yeah.
The cameras are out, right?
Unfortunately, we don't have the law being approved in Albany, so I can't do anything with cameras at this point. It's amazing, but we don't have home rule on that type of thing. We have to get Albany to agree to it for us. But we sent that up to Tommy John, our assemblyman, and to Tony Palumbo, our state senator, and they're working on that legislation. I mean, we've authorized home rule laws to try and get that done. Yeah. But those are good questions. Now we're going to Pippa. Yes, you do, Pippa. I'm sorry. Yeah.
If I did, you did.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Pippa Gerard, and I live at 611 Hill Street. And I wanted to concur with Rob's comments about the traffic on Hill Street. I get it, same way Rob does. We've had the house for 40 years. There's a lot more traffic. Last night was a Wednesday night. Traffic on Hill Street was stopped still at 10 to 8. So it has gone from being 3:30 or 4 o'clock until 6:30, 6:45, moving slowly, to from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock, really standstill a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had the no left turns before from Lee Avenue, the concern about the U-turns, Enstein's did start parking trucks at their 2 entrances, and we did the same because we're next door, just because we had people coming
Were they coming
around.
in your driveway?
Yes,
Oh, God.
and turning
Yeah.
around. So we're aware of this. We're happy to put a car there to stop people turning in, but I think if we
Well, I appreciate
reinstated
that.
the no left turn, it would help. But
Yeah.
it is, I get Lee Avenue and everybody else, but it really, anything we can do to get the traffic going back to 39 instead of on Hill Street would also be a big help.
Yeah,
for
if all the
everybody.
traffic would stay on 39 and not
I
come into
know.
the village, it would be an amazing help. Yes. Yeah. We wouldn't have anything else to. William, you're next.
Yeah, just a couple thoughts. William McClanahan again, and I do appreciate the issues on Hill. And to the point of safety, you do have to recognize, which I know you do, Mayor Manger, that Lee is an incredibly narrow street.
Yep.
So as an anecdote, on Hill, at least an emergency vehicle could go the other way, right? An emergency vehicle in the afternoon could actually go east.
You're right.
It's very hard to go south on Lee in the afternoon. I'm on my 4th mailbox in the last 3 years. I have cars coming south on Lee that drive off the road to get around the traffic, and they've taken out my mailbox. So we put a mailbox in further off the street, and then the post office won't deliver the mail. So
Oh,
we've
come on.
now put in a nuclear mailbox that if the car hits it, it's gonna cause some damage to the car. That may all sound funny, and it is funny, but that's how, it's
It's
a
crazy.
different situation on Lee. This is
Yeah.
like the narrowest street in the village.
Yeah.
So that when people say safety, I get it's, maybe it's a boy crying wolf. This is real on Lee Avenue. It's a serious safety issue. And the traffic on Hill is a major problem. It's an up the chain thing that has to be solved. But letting everybody run around on, stopping people from coming to Lee and Captain's, it's not going to solve the problem on Hill. And maybe it makes it worse, but it's still going to be a problem no matter what you do on Hill. And then the only thing I would also suggest is that we get the data from Ox Pasture pre-pilot. Meaning, I get we've gone from 1,500 to 1,000 cars on Great Plains.
Well, the
I'd
chief
like to
is
know
going to ask Bob Hand if we have those records.
What
yeah.
did we have on? Because we're seeing like a 50% discount on Lee, and I think it's bigger than, it's had a huge improvement. And I want to speak as a committee member for the people on Halsey. The no left turn, recognizing, also drove a lot of traffic to Halsey.
That's true.
So the Halsey people are very upset. So my point about
Joe McLaughlin's here.
maintaining the Ox closure is that if Ox is closed and you're cutting the traffic by 50% into the area, you've now dramatically improved the outcome for Halsey if you do no left turns on Captains and Lee. And so I just wanted to make that point as well.
William, when the data is finalized, I'll
Yeah.
send
We know
the
it's going to be
committee
down.
the
It's going to be
data.
down because
Yeah.
we're already down 50% on Lee, but obviously the numbers on. But Halsey's, I'm just pointing out Halsey is a consideration for why I think the combination
Yeah.
of Ox and the no left turns,
Mhm.
because they're going to have a problem otherwise as well.
I just want to make a quick point, because he mentioned the emergency vehicles. We have lights and sirens. Fire trucks have lights and sirens. The ambulance has lights and sirens. What doesn't have lights and sirens are our volunteers.
And the
And they
ambulance.
get stuck in the traffic. And they get stuck, going to the St. Andrews Road Firehouse. So we have to take that into consideration, because they're not going to be driving in the opposite lane, because they can't.
Yeah.
Some of them might, because they're dedicated, but we have to remember that when we think of this whole big picture.
No, thank you, Chief. Anyone else have any other? Oh, sorry. You didn't get to speak yet.
Steve Mark of 121 Lee. Just wanted to build on what William said, and I think I sent an email to you and to you, Chief, a couple of weeks ago. Oddly, there was a state trooper on Lee with its lights flashing, trying to head north during our gridlock. Could not get past the cars. Fortunately, it wasn't an ambulance or a fire
Yeah.
truck. Cars heading north pulled over onto everyone's lawn. Any cars heading south had to pull into private driveways or back into driveways, and it took minutes for this trooper, not sure why he had his lights flashing, but to get to Hill Street.
Yeah.
So it was evidence of an emergency vehicle, or at least an official vehicle, unable to get through that street in any timely manner. So
Yeah, no, it's very concerning. So thank you for raising that issue. Anyone else want to speak during public comment here on any other topics? Okay, then we will move on to suggested resolutions. Thank you, Chief, very much for being here. Len, why don't you start here?
Number one, resolve the claims for the warrant dated July 10th, 2025 totaling $822,716.16. Warrant number A6 General, $498,385.80. Warrant number H2 Capital, $34,729.35. Warrant number A5 Payables, and $5,420. Warrant number T3 Trust are audited and approved. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Number two, resolve the reading of the minutes for the June 24th, 2025 Board of Trustee meeting is dispensed, accepted as filed by the village clerk, and are hereby ratified and approved, and I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering amending Chapter 11040, Schedule I, truck weight limits of Chapter 110 of the Village Code of Southampton to regulate commercial truck restrictions, and whereas a public hearing was held by the Village Board on July 10th, 2025, at which time all persons either for or against said amendment were heard, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under 6 NYCRR Part 617.5, provisions of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and that no further review under New York Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, is necessary. Now therefore be it resolved that local law number 5 of 2025 is hereby adopted. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Can I, very quick comment. What I heard tonight was, this sounds like the right thing to do in this situation, but there may be a need also to just look at other roads and understand truck traffic in the village in a future meeting.
We can always look at other roads.
Okay,
Okay, we
that's
have a motion, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under 6 NYCRR Part 17.5 C22 of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and that no further review under New York Environmental Conservation Law Article 8 is necessary. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on August 14th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Village Meeting Room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York 11968, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 110-43 of the Village Code, Vehicles and Traffic, for updating and amending Schedule L stopping, standing, and parking restrictions. I'll make the motion.
Second.
And discussion. So this is what I was referring to earlier when we talked about having streets, having parking allowed on only one side of the street, so as not to have parking on both sides of the street, causing, a very difficult situation to navigate those streets. And in some cases, it's almost like an obstacle course, and certainly very dangerous.
Question, a point of clarification. This, you had alluded to commercial vehicles. This would apply to all vehicles?
This is all vehicles.
All vehicles,
All
okay.
vehicles. They would have to be on one side of the street and not the other. But it would only be during the hours of 8 to 6, which is when commercial activity
Correct.
is
Okay.
allowed.
Okay.
So, for example, if someone were having guests over in the evening after 6 o'clock, they would allow their guests to park on the street.
Both sides.
On both sides of the street. Or prior to 8 o'clock in the morning, again, they could be parking on both sides of the street. This is really to try and regulate the contractors and the landscape vehicles that come between the hours of 8 and 6 as per village code.
Thanks for the clarification.
Mayor, I think you told me that the side of the street would be the side of the street that has the hydrants on it.
That's correct. So I spoke to the chief. Chief, maybe you want to come up again and talk about this again if you don't mind.
I think for Halsey Street, when we did this, when we saw the conditions of Halsey Street and how we couldn't get it was one lane, barely.
Barely one lane.
Yeah, barely one lane. And there was 4 or 5 construction sites, and we decided to pick the side with the fire hydrants because that just makes the most sense. It's a safety concern, and
Well,
you know.
certainly if there's a fire, the
Yeah.
fire trucks need to be able to access the fire
Correct.
hydrants. We can't have cars parked in
No.
front of a fire hydrant.
Right.
And
But you can't anyway, right?
You can anyway.
Yeah.
But still,
But still, to do that side of the road with the fire hydrants on it, it makes sense to me.
And as you know, the fire hydrants are spaced in some instances quite far apart.
Yeah.
And so you would need the truck to get there and then to manipulate the hoses to get to wherever the fire is. You can't have obstructions in the way. So
Did we
it seemed to
consider
make
doing an
sense.
odd even based on the date?
I mean, I think that's going to be really hard to enforce and keep track of.
And I
I
don't
do.
think people are
And
going
it-
to be able to pay attention. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like alternate side of the street parking in New York City.
I'm just concerned that on very narrow roads, you're going to have the people whose houses are on the side with the hydrants being really angry about the fact that the cars are always on their side.
There's
That-
No,
always-
that's not going to be on the hydrant side.
I mean, on the other
Yeah,
side,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you
yeah.
get what I mean.
Yeah,
On
yes,
one
yes,
side,
yes.
if it's always on one side, I think we're going to get complaints.
Well,
we will. We're never going to make everybody happy.
Understand, understand.
but I think
We're
we
not.
have to try something because honestly, it's become, really,
Yeah.
in some situations, it's extremely
I
dangerous.
believe East Hampton
Yeah.
Village limits any construction site or any commercial activity to no more than one, or maybe two, but I think it's no more than one vehicle parked on the street during that commercial activity, including full construction of a new,
In the village or town?
So-
in the village.
The village.
And
So I
think-
looked into this and I think they actually had to repeal that.
Well, when you drive through East Hampton Village, you never have to do slalom, so I don't know what's different there. But if they repealed the law, something else is different, because you never have to slalom through East Hampton Village.
Well, I need to, again, compel these contractors who are working on these projects, if the space allows, to get the cars on site. And
Yeah.
the building inspector can mandate that when
the
he...
building permit.
Yes, with the building permit. But as I said, on some of these lots, it's not really sufficiently, of sufficient size to be able to accommodate some of the, the number of trucks that some of these people have. So, they have to be, anyway, you get it.
We also have some streets that don't have hydrants.
There are very few in the village.
Right, well, I live on one.
Well, your street was not one of the ones that was going to get this, because it doesn't seem to be such a problem on your street.
So
Maybe it is.
only the streets with hydrants will have
No, no,
this?
no, no, there's a list. Do you have the
Okay.
list?
No, I don't.
It should be
Well,
attached somewhere.
We'll discuss
We added certain streets. I can tell you what they are.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Captain's Neck Lane, it's on the east side of that street, there'll be no parking. First Neck Lane, also on the east side from Great Plains to
Okay.
Culver Hill. Great Plains Road on the north side from Captain's Neck to First Neck. Halsey Street on the east side from the center of the intersection of Armand Street, 105 feet in both directions. And on Halsey Street, on the west side, there's no parking during the day. So on the east side, within that, it's just within that intersection, because when you come down Armand, it's a three-way stop, people can't get through, so that's why,
Yeah.
for that 200 feet, there's gonna be no
I
parking.
think it's also on
either
Moses.
side.
I think it's also on Moses.
Yeah, I didn't get through the whole thing, let's see. Lee Avenue also is covered, let me just make sure I didn't miss any. Yeah, Lee Avenue on the east side from Ox Pasture to Hill Street, again, no parking during the day on that side. I'm just going over the ones we added. Moses Lane on the east side from Hill Street to Armand Street, again, no parking from, during the day, 8 AM. So I think that, nope, Ox Pasture on the north side, did I already do that? From First Neck, sorry, to Lee Avenue, no parking on the north side of the road. Might be it. Nope, there's one more here. South Main Street on the east side from Toilsome Lane to Gin Lane. There's also no parking during the day. This is what's proposed.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I think we did avoid, to answer your question, the really narrow streets for that
Yeah.
exact reason.
Yeah.
Um,
We were doing the ones that seemed to have a preponderance of
Right.
contractor trucks and landscaping trucks. And again, some of these properties are of sufficient size that they should be able to get their trucks onto the property. It makes no sense why they park on the street. It really doesn't.
Funny aside, it was the first time we saw those little signs of no parking, those little red signs, and my wife thought that maybe it was a very creative resident that just put them there. I said,
Say by
wow.
order of the chief.
It was a,
It says by order of the police. But we
I
do
said,
have some
"Wow." I
creative
said,
residents.
I gotta look into that.
I wouldn't put it past people.
that was clever though. But it did work, right?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
did work.
It did work because, I mean,
Big difference.
that was a major issue.
We did that on Herrick Road too last summer.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Whereas the fire department has recently ordered a Polaris Ranger Crew XD 1500, which will further help the Southampton Fire Department protect village residents, and whereas the fire chiefs have received quotes for the outfitting of the Polaris, including radios, a QTAC fire and rescue multipurpose skid, lights, sirens, and trailers, and whereas the fire department has opened items budgeted within their previous year's capital budget and wishes to amend their capital budget to reallocate funds to purchase the additional accessories for said Polaris. Now therefore be it resolved, the Village Board of Trustees approves the purchase of Polaris accessories at a cost not to exceed $52,000. And be it further resolved, the Village Board of Trustees approves the amendment to the 2021 through 2026 capital budgets as follows. Remove 6 portable radios, $15,000 from 2021-2022. Remove replacement thermal imaging camera, $12,000 from 2023-2024. Remove replacement thermal imaging camera, $25,000 from 2024-2025. Add Polaris accessories, $52,000 to 2025-2026 capital budget. I make the motion.
I'll second. In brief discussion, I just wanted to let everybody know that these were the recommendations of the fire department. So they said that they would, again, rather do the Polaris, and they would forego the items that were in the capital budget from 2021 to 2025, amounting to the same amount, so that it's not an additional cost. And again, it was the fire department's decision that they would reallocate their monies for this purpose.
Mayor, may I just ask for my edification and maybe some residents, when something in the capital budget from a prior year has gone unspent, does that remain essentially on reserve for that department or for that capital budget beneficiary?
I'm gonna let Len answer this question.
Traditionally speaking, capital money is allocated each year, and we have a plan, obviously. when money is unspent, it actually becomes free for the village.
General purposes.
General purposes, so that you could reallocate, and I'm not going to use fire department, right? You could reallocate DPW money to the police department if you needed to.
Any ideas?
Capital funding is fungible in government.
Yep, yep, okay.
But they were actually taking it out of their own.
Their own budget.
So they
right,
weren't
right.
stealing it from another
No,
entity.
understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves Kathy Sweeney, village clerk, to attend the annual 2025 Summer IIMC Municipal Clerks Educational Program from July 13 through July 17, 2023 in Latham, New York. Registration, training, hotel accommodations, and meals and travel expenses are estimated at $1,920.
Is this
make
meant
them-
to say 2025, or is that really 2023?
It should,
Is it
it should be
old?
2020.
It's current, I
Oh,
assume.
2025, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's a typo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I shouldn't read
catching
it that carefully. I make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the Southampton Village Ocean Rescue to host a S-Mile Swim Challenge at Cooper's Beach on Saturday, August 16th, 2025, from 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Rain date is scheduled for Sunday, August 17th, 2025. Participants must depart Cooper's Beach at the conclusion of the event to ensure parking is available for season permit holders and daily guests. I make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
So now, there was scheduled on this agenda a grievance hearing for the Civil Service Employees Association. They sent word late today that they would like to have us table this for a later meeting. So at their request, I am asking that this grievance hearing be tabled at this meeting.
You need a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table
I'll
this.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We also have one supplemental item that was added late because we were talking to these council, and everyone should have a copy of this, but you can feel free to share along. So I'll make a motion to bring on one supplemental agenda item. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
And the item is as follows. Resolve, the Board of Trustees approves the following special counsel for 2025-26 at the hourly rate of $260 per hour. Alice Cooley, attorney for the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation. Brian Stolar, attorney for the Zoning Board of Appeals. Keen and Bean, PC, Special Labor Counsel. And be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the following special counsel effective July 14th, 2025 through October 1st, 2025 at the hourly rate of $260 per hour. Alice Cooley, attorney for the Planning Board. Do I have a motion?
You make the motion.
I'll make the
second.
motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. You can tell the lawyers they can keep working.
I will put them to work. so.
Okay. With that, we'll go to comments from board members, and we will start with Mr. Coburn.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, fellow board members. It's been a busy first week for me. I spent most of it learning a lot about Village Hall and reaching out to my liaison contacts for some of the assignments I was given. Had a good meeting with Matt Weeks at Cooper's Beach. Attended a meeting with trustees and Ante, a Zoom meeting for the Sewer and Clean Water Committee yesterday. Have a call with the chair of that committee tomorrow just to catch up a little bit more. Meeting with the executive director and some board members for the Southampton Arts Center on Friday, just to immerse myself a little bit. And on top of all that, Trustee Stevenson has arranged a meeting with a leader of the business revitalization effort. So it's been a good start. I'm learning a lot. I've heard from a lot of residents. I wanted to do two things. I want to, for those who watched, I want to just formally apologize to trustees and Ante. I made a comment at the last meeting that I understand why. It's not just that I understand now, I understand why it was perceived incorrectly as a slight for him, but it's my fault for how I worded it. I simply wanted to say that some of the people who were involved in the election as candidates and had either bruised feelings or their own celebrations took time out, and I appreciated that. I didn't mean to call him out by exclusion, and I really do apologize for giving that impression.
Thank you, Trustee Coburn. I appreciate the statement, and I appreciate your kindness.
It's sincere, and I'm very sorry that it had that impression. And I want to end on a high note to say thank you to all the village employees and members of this board for little steps and emails and encouragements you've given me in my first week, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Coburn, go to Trustee Simeoni.
I want to take a moment to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Veterans Affairs Commission for once again organizing an outstanding 4th of July parade. It was a tremendous success, and it brought together so many elements that make Southampton Village a special place that it is. From our civic organizations and parade participants to our residents and visitors lining the streets, it was a powerful reminder of the strength of our community again. Events like this don't happen on their own. They're only possible through support and participation of so many people, and I want to acknowledge and thank everyone who played a part. I'd also like to recognize our public safety personnel and village employees who worked through a busy holiday weekend. Thank you for your dedicated police officers, volunteers, firefighters, EMS crews, and our hard-working Department of Public Works staff. Your efforts ensured that our residents and guests could celebrate safely and enjoyably, even with increased crowds and activity. Additionally, I want to take a moment to highlight an important cause. I am happy to see the fundraising efforts to restore the World War I monument here in the village. This monument is in dire need for repair, and I'm grateful to all who have already contributed and to those who plan to do so in the future. Honoring our veterans and preserving our history is not just symbolic, it's essential. This is a chance for all of us to come together once again in service of something bigger than ourselves. Thank you again to everyone who contributed in ways big and small. This village thrives because of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Simeoni.
May I just add one also quick comment? Thank you for thanking the chief and her team. I think we also owe some thanks to the town and even the state for some of the coordination and resources that go along with traffic control during the parade.
It's actually the state police and pretty much every East End agency. We have represented. We have mutual aid agreement, and they always supply us with personnel to help secure our parade out.
So just thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you. It is 7:05. I don't know if there's hundreds of people watching, but if you are, the Moonlight Plunge at Cooper's Beach started 5 minutes ago and is going on until 10 o'clock tonight. And you can go to Cooper's Beach in the heart of the Hamptons. It's one of their big fundraisers. And for $60, you get to swim in the ocean, and I think they've got a lot of music and fun things going on down there. So if anybody is listening and wants to go have a great evening and help a great cause, like I said, it just started, and it's at Cooper's Beach, and it's going till 10 o'clock. And I'd like to just add my thanks to our Southampton Village Ocean Rescue Group, who is there safeguarding the event. There's active members, and their auxiliaries will be keeping everybody safe, and they do that throughout the year. They also take care of our polar plunge. And I just got to say that Alex King and our officers do a wonderful job organizing that very important group of first responders. And I want to thank them for their service. So I'm not sure I'm going to make it, but I hope everybody else does. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. Trustee Zananti.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the chief and her officers for conducting this pilot rather than rehash the statistics. I just want to reiterate that the only viable solution is to make permanent the Route 39 pilot that was conducted last spring by the town and the county. And to that end, I'm insisting that the chief make an appointment with me to go meet Highway Superintendent McCardle next week so that we can start to strategize on how we might make that a permanent solution, which will take a lot of pressure off of all the neighborhoods. Also, the cell tower project is going through the land use board process, and I want to take special note to thank police, fire, and ambulance leadership and their volunteers and employees for their unwavering and consistent support for this critical issue for the village. So thank you. and I will not be plunging tonight. Stevenson.
Okay, I actually did buy a $60 ticket to go swim in the ocean
Well
tonight.
done,
so,
Mayor. Well done.
If we can get out of here, I know we have executive session, but maybe we can get out and I can go jump in the ocean. But I did want to also bring up another thing. Now that Rob has taken over the responsibility of Cooper's Beach, so to speak, I did want to just give some updates on Cooper's Beach, because I'm not sure if Rob knows all this yet, but we did get the Bathing Beach Inspection Summary Report back, and I am very pleased to announce that the number of public health hazards found was 0, the number of public health hazards not corrected is 0, and the number of other violations found is 0. So not only do we have the #1 beach in the United States, but we also have a clean bill of health from the Bathing Beach Inspection Summary of Suffolk County Department of Health. And also down at Cooper's Beach, and Rob, I hope you're going to be there, the loan sharks will be appearing on July 16th, which is Wednesday at Cooper's Beach. As you know, we have the different concerts in the park, in Agawam Park on Wednesdays throughout the summer. This is the one Wednesday this summer that they are not going to be performing in Agawam Park. They're going to be performing down at Cooper's. So let's hope there's great weather. And I've always enjoyed going down there. Last year it actually got rained out. Hopefully we'll have good weather. And so July 16th at Cooper's Beach should be the Loan Sharks. No pun intended with the name. But anyway, Rob, I hope you can join as well. So the Hampton Road restoration continues with National Grid working on the restoration of that road after the gas lines are hooked up. They actually have been working in the evening now to try and mitigate working during the day when we have a lot of visitors and traffic and businesses that don't like the interruption. So they're working actually from 8 in the evening until midnight to try and get this done in this next week. So I'm hoping that goes well, and I hope it's not disturbing too many people for having them work after hours. But we thought it was better to have them do that when they have to, interrupt the traffic pattern than to do it during the middle of what's some of the busiest time in this village. I do want to mention just a couple of things that are coming up this Saturday. There's actually a World War II lecture that's going to be at the Veterans Hall at noon. They have an exhibit there. This was done in conjunction with the History Museum. I think that could be quite interesting. There also is a fundraiser for the World War I Memorial at the Giffra household on First Neck Lane on Saturday evening. And then also this weekend, I met with Father Alex today, and there is the Greek Festival at the Greek Orthodox Church just outside of the village on St. Andrews Road there by Shinnecock Golf Club. And so if anyone wants to go over and have some really good Greek food, it's an excellent affair. And finally, July 18th through 20th, there will be Art in the Park, sponsored by the Southampton Artists Association. This has been going on for some years. It's all local artists, and they put on a wonderful art show in Agawam Park. Again, we hope they have great weather for that, but that will be the 18th through the 20th, so not this weekend, the following weekend, but it's before our next meeting, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. And other than that, I think that's all I have to say, so I will make a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss legal and contractual matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you all very much.